Well, you must be thinking of my friend Patrice.
Patrice playing the piano. Yeah, we're all looking at each other like, what?
So, did you meet Obama?
No. I mean, I want to make sure I was as far away for his own sake as possible. I wouldn't want to, maybe next time I'll actually campaign for someone with the attempt of sabotaging.
Oh, really?
Coming out with some embarrassing personal revelation, and I'll announce it on air here,
That is a great idea, just to be a scumbag and announce that you're backing somebody and have them go, oh, Christ, this guy. I don't think you have enough, baggage, though. You're a likable guy. You haven't really, done anything that's scandalous.
That you know about.
Now, that we know about. Who's that fucking guy that beat up
Roman Polanski?
What's his name? That old bastard that beat up fucking Hedda Nussbaum.
Joel Steinberg.
Yeah. There's a guy who should just stump for somebody.
What you should be saying is, and who's that pest that bothered Joel Steinberg?
Right. Who is that lippy woman?
That's right. Who gave Joel cold potatoes after a hard day of lawyering?
That could be the new wave in negative campaigning. You just come out with a positive commercial for the candidate you are voting against with the biggest cast of scumbags.
And why they're backing him, and it's for reasons all their own self-interest.
It's really brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really brilliant. Speaking of wife beating, Corey in Charlotte, not necessarily a wife beating, obviously. Corey, what do you got?
Girl name?
This is exclusive.
Girl name.
I'm breaking news exclusive with Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
It's Ric Flair. Mick, I don't know if you have a comment or can talk about it, but he got caught last night. His wife beat him up.
Oh, wait, Ric Flair's wife beat him up?
Yeah, his wife was it an actual beat up, or was there
It was role playing. Same thing my wife and I do all the time, except it got a little out of hand.
Out of hand? No safe word?
And no
which one of you pretends to be Ric Flair?
That's what happens when the safe word is harder.
I heard about that. It's just so bizarre. Rick has been really happy in the TNA. You'd hope it's so much better that it's the wife hitting him.
Oh, of course, yeah. You don't want him
and Tommy's going to blow up your new idea, unfortunately. Tommy in New Mexico. Tommy?
Yeah, hey, Mick Foley, there's only one problem with your little theory.
Ooh.
Al-Qaeda backs fucking Obama, and he still won. So what the fuck you talking about, man?
Yeah, Al-Qaeda did back Obama during the election.
True. Bin Laden stumped for him.
Because they wanted him to lose.
Well,
that's why you do it. It's the negative.
So it worked.
Negative. Yeah, exactly. No, it did not work. Listen,
wait,
this is
did it
what
work?
it is.
Oh, wait.
Everything can be drawn back.
Oh, so then your idea sucks.
No, it did.
What?
It didn't work for Al-Qaeda.
It did not work for Al-Qaeda. They were foiled. The negative was foiled.
They didn't want Obama. That's why they campaigned.
Why do you think they didn't want Obama?
Yeah.
He's much softer on terrorism.
No, but here's everything comes back to wrestling, all right? If you're advertising for terrorists, you have such a much better, George Bush on the marquee was such a much better draw because he was so much easier to dislike and rally against.
He's more of a heel over there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Obama's the baby face.
Also, Al-Qaeda doesn't have the pull of a Mick Foley.
No.
Come on. It's not the same thing.
How do you feel about all the wrestling fans in the Middle East?
I think it's cool, man.
A documentary where they were trying to find.
Yeah, they were.
And I like Morgan, but he got to the point where he was ready to go into the into the mountains in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
and then he goes, "Well, this is the farthest we go on our little trip."
Who's Morgan there?
Morgan did a documentary on where the hell is Osama bin Laden, and it was a pretty good documentary. But then it got to a point where, he's up there.
And they wouldn't follow
and
him
that's
any
pretty
further.
much where the film ended. He had some weird excuse why he couldn't go any further.
They would run into people who were wrestling fans.
They would go into these quote houses, and they had wrestling on, and they were wearing Mick Foley shirts and WWE shirts.
Well, the guys who first, before things took a turn for the worse, in Iraq, initially when the guys went in, they were well received for a week or so, and guys who had been there said it was amazing because kids were running up to the soldiers trying to tell them what they knew about American culture. And they'd be like, Madonna, WWE, Like, no joke, this was the type of stuff that they knew and liked. And it's amazing. Like, if I walk past, go down the international departures in JFK, you'll see, country by country, you can see where the show is popular. South America's huge. We're like,
are you well known in
stars.
like Rio? Brazil?
Brazil, is huge. A bunch of the Middle Eastern countries, but I was in Africa, West Africa, about a year and about 15 months ago, visiting the little guy I sponsor over there, and not a soul knew who I was. I mean, I was on a ferry.
You visit the little guy?
I visited the little guy.
You just don't. You do more than write a check.
I do, man.
And get a little letter and a picture.
I do.
Do you write, or do you have like a webcam?
I do know. I do. I have 7 kids I sponsor.
Jesus,
the only one I don't write to is Madhu Sanka in Sri Lanka, because his mother does all the writing, even though he's 15. And every once in a while, I'll be like, nice to hear from you. I would really prefer to get a letter from you, Madhu Sanka. And then every month they just tell me that my sponsorship coconut tree is getting big. It's like a boring letter.
Then get rid of him and get another kid that appreciates you.
Do you believe it, Mick? Like, is it like 10 people sponsoring the same kid, or?
No, you know what? There is always a question about what about the people who don't get sponsors? Like, do the kids, do they have no support system? The deal is the money you send goes into the project in general. The town, the little village for clean water.
Yeah, it doesn't go right into his pocket.
No.
He's got fucking 85 cents every day going there.
You can. Like, I write the little guy, I write all my kids an extra check for Christmas, birthday, so that they can, like, kind of build a future. And, for example, the girl in the Philippines who's been, I've been sponsoring for, 13 years. She's about to turn 18, so I won't be able to sponsor her. She was going, how do you twist something like this in an obscene way?
Easy.
Very easy.
Yeah. You should know better, though, Mick.
But she was,
I can.
her family didn't have the money to send her to her nursing school. Was dwindling, and so I made the thing that it's like $700 a year, and I've got that kind of cash.
Yeah,
so
you got that.
So I'm taking care of that. So I try to reach out.
Look at that.
Try to reach out. And do these
Mick
things.
Foley, nice guy.
But why did you visit the one guy?
Well,
You went to West Africa, so you have a special relationship with that kid.
I visited 4 of the 7 kids. I visited the girl in the Philippines. Visited 2 of the kids in Mexico. The little boy in Sierra Leone. The only place I'm not going is Sri Lanka, because Madhu Sanka won't write letters to me.
Do you stay in a Ritz-Carlton while they're in their little straw hut?
No.
Room service, please.
We were at a city
My
called...
eggs are running.
I'll come see you after I have my morning massage.
We only had electricity in the hotel 10 hours a day. And so you'd kind of get back at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You'd wait until 8 until that electricity kicked on.
And get your jerk on from the computer. Hope it doesn't cheat her.
Wait, what hotels were you staying at?
Come on,
battery.
I'll tell you what, it was on a level with the Comfort Inn I stayed in last night, about 8 blocks from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it was okay.
You don't stay in like 4-star hotels?
There's nice hotels.
There are no 4-star. Maybe in Freetown, the capital, but where I was a city called McKinney. It was a real, desolate, there's just one road. And I wrote about this in the upcoming book, and I'm like, I visited our troops out in the Kuwaiti desert, and the Humvee had to keep going off-road because Saddam had built the roads, and on principle, they wouldn't rebuild something that he had built.
Are you kidding me?
And so through the bombing and through deterioration, it was just, it was a mess. And I thought that was the worst road I'd ever been on until I went to Sierra Leone, and then that road began to look like the Autobahn.
So you visited him. What did you do when you got there? Did he recognize you?
Yeah, man. It was a huge. You guys really interested in this?
Yes, it's
come on. Like I said, I'd been on this.
We're talking to a guy that has a heart. We want to know what it's like.
Yeah, what is that
What's it like to help somebody?
Yeah.
Not just be a self-centered prick. Like everyone
How
in
does it
this
feel
room.
to make a difference in somebody's life?
I'm about to tell you.
Cool.
I'd been over on the ferry from the Freetown airport area to Freetown, the city, and then we were going to, drive several hours to this, little area called Bombali. And not one person on the airplane or the ferry knew who I was, but when we got to this little back road in Bombali, I heard a little kid say, "Mick Foley." And I turned to the lady from the fund. This is Child Fund International, used to be Christian Children's Fund.
Little son of a bitch shot me in the ass.
I said, that kid just say my name? She was, I think so. Wow. And then about a couple hundred yards ahead, there are 2 kids. Mick Foley. I was like, this is like a Twilight Zone, or Punk'd Ashton Does Africa or something. And then we were driving over this little tiny bridge, and there's kids on both sides of the road, and they're singing this, welcome, welcome, Mick Foley. At the time, I didn't know it's like a tradition, and you could just throw any name into the welcome song.
Oh, okay.
But it seemed like they'd made it up just for me. And even when we got to this big reception, and they had, hundreds of people dancing and doing these
all for you?
productions.
Or there was a bunch of you?
Well, I didn't know it was for me until they brought this one kid out. He goes, today we celebrate the friendship of 2 individuals. I'm like, oh, that's cool. 2 individuals who until today knew each other only through letters. And I turned to the girl and I was like, is this for me? And it was just like a huge deal. And they said they hadn't had a visit from a sponsor in 17 years.